Uncle Sam accountable to you every day. Hannity is on.
How long do you think Seattle in those few blocks looks like this?
I don't know. We could have the summer of love.
Well, tell that to the police, who was supposed to be in that precinct, though. But I understand your sentiment, Mayor.
We don't have to sacrifice public safety for First Amendment rights. Both can exist, and we'll make sure that both exist in Seattle.
Behavior is very radical.
Oh, is it?
And Jamie, every time I just try to have a normal conversation with you, it just goes right to insults.
Is that against the law? Is it against the law to insult a man in blue?
I understand that it's not a normal conversation.
You guys get called all the time.
Why we're concerned?
And you take down the blacks, and you get video.
That's false. Have a good day, Jamie. We're leaving.
I want him arrested for physical assault. You
All right, that was a videotape went viral on Twitter where cops just very nicely dealing with somebody, and the person just starts screaming. They're saying, "Can you please be nice?" And then they just turn around and walked away. We're now seeing a lot of police around the country are just saying, you know what, this isn't worth it anymore. We're not going to do this job. And they're leaving in droves. And, you see now it's gotten into the world of politics. And Clyburn, I feel the police now more than during segregation. Truck drivers are saying they won't deliver to cities with defunded police departments. They don't think it's safe. The defund effort gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The Seattle mayor saying that this autonomous zone, the summer of love zone, this safe space for spaghetti potlucks and movies for the summer of love is just madness. You see what's been happening all around the country in every way, shape, manner, and form. And you see now police precincts being burned to the ground, others being taken over completely. You don't see any efforts to even stop it in any way. You have an entire Florida city SWAT team that resigned after the police chief was kneeling with the protesters. They'll remain on the police force, but they've left the SWAT team out in Hallandale Beach. Said, no, thanks. We don't need this. Now one Democratic, Al Green, is now calling for, I believe it was him. Yeah, it was him calling for the creation of a Department of Reconciliation. Okay, I don't know what that means, because if you surrender to anarchy and they're able to take over city blocks and police precincts and nothing is done to stop it, who are you going to call when something happens? I mean, this is the madness of all of this. Congresswoman Omar defending the call to dismantle the Minneapolis police. Now, again, she now also, it's unbelievable. It's just getting from bad to worse here. And you see anarchy now reigning, and this is now now a big issue in the campaign. And what is this growing divide? How does it all end in the end here? Anyway, we continue with former NYPD Commissioner Bernie Kerik, and also he's the author of The Grave Above the Grave. He was the commissioner of New York's police department, 9/11/01, as we all know. Sergeant Dimitri Pennie, 21-year vet, Dallas Police, also now a congressional candidate, Texas Congressional District number 30. Let me go back to what's going on in Minneapolis, this defund the police effort, the anarchists, or the free love zone, Chaz as they call it, Utopia as they call it, now taking over city blocks. And by the way, on top of it, Bernie Kerik, we have over 800 officers now that have been hurt, a number of them now killed, a number of them permanently injured, one paralyzed in Vegas, and, rocks and bottles and bricks and Molotov cocktails, and no desire for the president is begging these cities to restore order. They refuse to take it. They put the entire, from my perspective, they put the entire city of their cities at risk here.
Plus, Shawn, you have hundreds of millions of dollars in devastation damage as a result of the arson and looting. You've got about 20 people that were innocent civilians that were shot and killed throughout this. Nobody's marching on their behalf. But I want to bring up a point, Shawn, that I think is lost in the mix here. Most of these cities, every one of the cities you just mentioned, and most of the cities around the country where you have the highest violent crime rate and the highest murder rate, they're all run by Democrats. They're run by Democrats that have they're far left-leaning, radicals in many cases, who basically want to diminish and abolish policing in general. And I think the lesson people have they should focus on, they should look at New York City in 1994 when we averaged about 2,200 murders per year. We were the capital of homicide, of murder in the United States of America. And over an 8-year period under Giuliani, that number dropped by 63%, by 70%. The murder number dropped by 70, violent crime by 63. And in the black communities in New York City, that number dropped, murder dropped by close to 80%. Thousands of black lives were saved as a result of basically enforcing law and order. We didn't have these problems with riots and all this other stuff. We had issues within the police department that we had to deal with. But at the end of the day, we had a leader. We had a mayor that enforced the law, dealt with the communities. I didn't have any problems as the police commissioner. I had 55,000 people working for me. I had no problems in the black community. So we had great relationships. It can be done. But today, it's not being done. And in every one of those cities where black lives are being slaughtered by numbers that compare with a war zone, like Chicago and St. Louis and Baltimore, they're all run by Democrats. And I think that's something that has to be looked at. Okay. And your take, Sergeant?
Yes, just look. I want to play up on the commissioner's position. In fact, there are on the 435 U.S. House seats. This is why I'm running. Of those 435 House seats, 28% of them are majority-minority districts. All of them are run by Democrats. There are no Republicans in those seats. Now, what we've done over the last 50 years, these failed socioeconomic policies have led to the failures in these communities. Now, I come from the inner city. I came from a community where police just didn't come in because of the level of crime. We didn't want them there, but we were being victimized at a higher rate than anywhere else in the country. And I say everyone's an advocate until they become a victim. I said this last time, Hannity. Everyone's an advocate until they become a victim. I had to witness my own cousin get killed in front of me, but for me to say, man, I got to get out of here. Like something had to wake me up. And what's happening is you got a lot of people that aren't from these communities that are carrying the gauntlet and saying that we want the police out, we want them out. Well, guess what? Who's going to police these communities once you get them out? You get rid of the police, then all the people are going to do, they're going to be subjected to more and more violent crime. And the violent crime rate, regardless of what we do, because we can't get people to come into this profession, the violent crime rate is still going up across the country. Now, on another note, I would like to also talk about our law enforcement officers, okay? Everyone wants to bring up their First Amendment right to protest. And their First Amendment right to protest should be protected by the First Amendment rights. We're all against that. I mean, we all support that. But by that same token, we have to start talking about these officers' 14th Amendment right to fair and equal protections under the law. Because they're not just going out there to be attacked and be murdered and belittled by individuals that don't want to follow the law. We got to start getting back to the conversation and talking about where does the letter of the law mean anything, the rule of the law. What does it mean anything? That's how America became the great democracy that it was our law. And we have to get back to business and start talking about how we're going to protect people. And that's why I'm running.
So what do you do now when you got a mayor and you got a governor that are allowing anarchists to take over city blocks and city precincts, which I never thought would happen in my lifetime, Bernie Kerik, and they steadfastly reject the president's daily offer for help and assistance to restore order, which, by the way, as long as they're not in there killing each other, I don't think the president should be getting involved. If that's how they want to run their state, if that's how they want to run their cities and allow anarchists to do what they're doing out there, Unless and until it becomes totally untenable, that's their responsibility. They say no. Well, president offers help. No. Chicago, Illinois, president offers help. No. New York, same thing. No.
You know what, Sean? Listen, and I'd want to remind people, those numbers I gave you on New York City, that was during Giuliani's term. After Giuliani, Mayor Bloomberg came in for 12 years. For 12 years. So for 20 years straight, every single year, there was reduced violent crime, reduced murder in New York City. We had the most substantial reductions in U.S. history ever. And the only time in 20 years, after that 20-year period, the only time it started to spike was under a Democrat, under Mayor de Blasio. Then it started to change. And in the last 2 weeks, it spiked dramatically. And you have a mayor that basically told his cops, in his words, you're going to use a light touch in dealing with these thugs and rioters and arsonists and anarchists. And they burned Fifth Avenue. They burned Madison Avenue, Soho, the Diamond Exchange. And you had a governor sitting in Albany saying, oh, yeah, I'm not happy with the cops. I'm not happy with the police. They didn't do their job. The mayor didn't do his job. Really? Well, what is your job? You run the state of New York. Where are you? Why weren't you there? What are you doing? And you know what? For any of these executives, any of these mayors or governors in any state that refuses help from the president with regard to the National Guard in restoring law and order, they have a constitutional obligation to their citizens. And they're refusing for political reasons because they know the president's right, and they also know the president's not going to stand for it. And if they can't do their job and he has to, the job will get done. So what do? They refuse. They
refuse. I got to tell you, I'm going to have to let you both go, but former Commissioner NYPD Bernie Kerik, Sergeant Demetric Pennie, by the way, he's running for Congress, Texas CD 30, Congressional District 30. Thank you both. 800-941-SEAN, you want to be a part of the program. All right, June is here. Now, after being sheltered in place forever and ever and ever and ever, you know what? Cutting the grass is now a relief. And the great news is the best mower, the best built, the best engineered, the strongest, the toughest, and the most comfort is our friends at hustlerturf.com. And through the month of June, you have 2 more weeks. You'll save $100 instantly on any Raptor, that's a residential mower, $300 on any Dash residential mower. They also have commercial mowers. And all of these units have their heavy-duty fabricated welded steel decks. And I got to tell you something. They're the best. They're the best made and engineered anywhere. And by the way, a lot of jobs right here in America's heartland. If you go to their website, hustlerturf.com, to find your local dealer, there's over 1,400 of them. And if you click on the radio offer button, you're going to get a year warranty absolutely free. And it's just made the best mower. Linda now is doing it weekly at her place. She has a new Hustler Turf zero-turn lawnmower. She loves it. And you're going to love yours, too. HustlerTurf.com, radio offer button, last name Hannity.
Final Hour Roundup is next. You do not want to miss it. And stay tuned for the Final Hour free-for-all on the Shawn Hannity Show.